Whoa! All right. What a week. Here. Oh, so nice to be back in Adams County. Andy's not here tonight, and we have to make do without him, but oh my gosh, what a week. What a week. You know, I often get to visit the other planets, and, you know, I'm going there to make a speech about this or play here or do something, usually for some environmental cause or progressive political cause, to try to give something to the galaxy and make a contribution. And that's how the week started out. I went to this planet, actually hadn't been to the planet before, and whoa, I got a gift. I got a gift. There's this, well, I got to tell you about it. I want to talk about it on the show tonight. There's this kind of magic door. It's a weird thing. It was like a TV effect, a shimmering door. It was on the planet. It was, you know, it was a feature. It was a tourist thing on the planet. Of course, the people brought me there to see it. And I wanted to go through the door. And they said, oh, no, you can't go through the door. Can't go through the door. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. So, well, I thought back to my high school days. And when they weren't looking, I jumped through. And what a blessing. What a gift. You know, so I was inspired. I wrote a poem about it. And I want to share that on the show tonight. And also taking calls. You know, I want to hear your take on what happened to me when I went through the magic door. And, you know, any thoughts that you have, 334-3000, you know, give a call. So let me go to some letters here and see what's up. And here's the first letter. See what we got going here. But don't, you know, I'm going to tell you about that magic door. That's all I can think about. Okay, here we go. Dear John, my friends and I are going to be visiting Adams County this summer. That's great. You know, yeah, it's good to visit Adams County any time of the year. You know, summer, spring, autumn, fall. Summer is going to be nice. Anyway, I can't tell you how excited we all are. In fact, we dress up in our Earth outfits every week start and practice Earth behavior. Okay, so, you know, to Adams County viewers, this is, you know, we call it weekend. You know, like, you know, we get dressed up every weekend and go dancing. Well, on this planet, they call it week start. I don't know, it's just a weird thing. So anyway, they get dressed up in their Earth outfits. We have a question for you. You know, they're practicing their Earth behavior. We're pretty good at getting grumpy looks on our faces and shaking our fists at other drivers. But then we start laughing. How do Earthlings hide the fact that they're laughing? Well, it's a good question. You know, they're studying, they're preparing to come to Earth, and they fit in. They learn to act like an Earthling. So they're studying driving behavior. So they're learning to get grumpy when they're driving and shake their fists and get grumpy looks on their face. But of course, they're having a good time. They're having fun. So they start laughing. But they study the videos, real-time videos of Earthlings, and Earthlings don't laugh. Well, the fact of the matter is, friends, that Earthlings sometimes behave in small ways. This is part of the magic door. Let me switch right to my poem here. Let me read the poem. I'm just thinking about this magic door. Let's get right to it. There's nothing. I've never experienced anything like this. Okay, here's a poem I wrote when I got inspired after jumping through the magic door. It explains a lot of it. Check it out. Okay, here we go. This week, I visited a planet I've never seen before. And on that planet is a shimmering metaphysical door. The inhabitants say it is a portal to wisdom's home, where everything is answered and nothing is unknown. Let me go through, I said. I have to go there. To keep me from wisdom hardly seems fair. No one goes through, they said. You might even die. I answered that I loved wisdom so much, I was willing to try. So before they could list the bad things that might happen to me, I'd already jumped through to check out what I could see. It felt kind of pleasant, sort of like a molecular shift. And I have to admit, my spirits felt a definite lift. It was a big open plain, and wherever I might go, there was a huge sign that read, "What do you want to know?" So I walked right up to the sign and said, "Please answer this. Why is the meaning of my life something I frequently miss? My life has its ups and downs, and no small measure of strife. So I want to know, what is the meaning of my life?" I heard a big, booming voice that giggled with glee. Then it said quite clearly, "Why are you asking me?" "Come on, big voice," I pleaded with all I had. "If you don't tell me now, I'll be really mad." "Okay," said the voice. "Listen well to what I have to say. Go back to your planet and have a great day. The meaning of your life is not in how much money you make, or how famous you are, or how many records you break. It is not in your job, your pleasures, or the cool things you buy, or in having everything work out so you never have to cry. For on the day you die, when all your days have been spent, you will see the meaning of your life is in how you lived each moment." Were you alive and awake and fully lovingly aware, or were you moaning and morose and complaining of the burdens you bear? Did you consult your inner truth and make choices reflecting that? Or did you follow the crowd thinking, this is where it's at? Did you live fully in the moment, breathing in the gift of fresh air? Or did you worry and feel burdened with care? It is simple, you see. Your life is happening right now. So all you have to do is stop striving and instead allow. So stop living for achievement, security, and future fulfillment, and open yourself to live fully right in the present moment. Ooh. That was it. That was my poetic inspiration. Anyway, that was the wisdom. I did have a chance to talk to them. So I am curious what you think. I want to invite you to call. Okay, let's see what we got here. Hello? Hello? This is a space age technology here. Let me work on it. Hello? 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 Hello, John. Why, hi there. Doesn't seem to work. I might be doing something wrong. Okay, it seems to be plugged in here. And which button do I push? Hello? Oh, I might be dialing the president. Okay. Hello?
John and Andy.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, I can hear you. Here I am.
This is Hole.
Oh, I can't hear you that well. Say it again.
This is Hole.
Hole.
Calling from the planet Earth.
Oh, that's a place in outer space. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
I was just wondering if you knew where your son was tonight.
He's either giving a lecture on some other planet or working and serving ice cream.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you know.
We have him right here with us.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, how about putting him on?
I can't do that. His mouth's taped shut.
His mouth's taped shut. Well.
He's with Jericho.
Yeah.
And Big Al, the devil.
Yeah. Well, I think he's really capable of taking care of himself.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so. And in fact, I'm trembling right here because I'm a little bit worried about you guys.
Smack him in the face and you hear him yell.
Yeah, well, Yeah, I tell you, that sounds like Big Al yelling there. I tell you, I'm worried about you guys. And, but why don't you ask Andy what he thinks the meaning of life is? He's got a pretty good take on it. And,
Andy, what do you think the meaning of life is? I like to hurt people really bad.
but don't get him started on politics.
You're talking about Bush and McCain. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, well, that's you're in big trouble right now. And
He'd like to body slam Jesse Ventura out of Minnesota.
yeah, well, I mean, once you get him going on politics, I tell you, he's on another world. And he's got some good things to say, though. But listen, thanks for calling.
How you smoking weed? Having a good time. Talk to you later.
Yes, yeah, rah. And, you know, the know-it-all sign that talked to me about the meaning of life, you know, once again said, you know, the meaning of life is in the miracle of just existing, being alive. Like, we don't need anything. We don't need any, you know, to smoke anything or drink anything. Just being is the miracle. So, anyway, whoa, going back to my poem. You know, I actually, I was knocked out by that sign, the talking sign. I took notes on it, and, you know, I got inspired to write the poem. But let me read what I wrote on the on my notes. And he says, these are what I wrote down listening to the sign. It was, of course, coming out in this really deep voice. It said, let me just read this. I was taking notes as the sign was speaking. When you die, now the sign seemed to indicate that we existed before we were born, and we continue to exist when we die. So it's like we leave the video game. We leave the illusion of Earth. And but the fact that Earth is a video game or an illusion isn't negative. That's what's good about it. It's something in our eternal nature. We come down here to have experience and have fun. So, I say, when you die, you will see that the meaning of the life you just completed did not derive from your particular job, position, consistency, accomplishments, or purchases, but from the satisfaction and verve with which you lived your moments. Wow. The satisfaction and verve with which we lived our moments. Give a call on this. I mean, what do you think about this? So, let's give a... Hello?
Dad, this is Andy.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Pretty good.
What's up?
I'd just like to say I'm okay. They didn't hurt me.
Yeah, I was worried about them.
Hey, you know, I was talking politics, you know, Bradley, how Bradley's going to drop out of the race, but, you know, everything's cool right now. So, they don't got a gun to my head or anything. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Okay.
So be nice.
Up here on planet Arse, I'm taking care of things.
Yeah, be nice to him.
I might say I'm kicking some arse while I'm up here. I'm making you proud to be my father.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, have a good time.
Thanks a lot.
I miss being on there with you.
Man, looking forward to seeing you.
Oh, I'll see you when I get back in a couple light years.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, keep growing those dreads for me.
No, don't. That's, you know, actually, that wasn't Andy. And this is, I don't know, small minds. Maybe they're having a problem with what they're doing. Anyway, let me go on with this. You know, I'm talking about the meaning of life here. And then I wrote down, you create unnecessary suffering for yourself by getting mired in feelings about success and failure. Let's see what we got here. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the meaning of life in your question. You know, you talked about, you know, the greatness of it consists of the verve in which we live our life and that sort of thing.
Each moment.
Yeah, each moment.
Yeah.
What about somebody who's dealt with a serious loss, like, or somebody who's gone through a tragedy of some kind? How can life have any meaning for them?
You know, that's a great question. And, you know, I don't want to, just, have this happy thought and you know, like we can think of an example of a horrible thing that happens. It just really renders us speechless. You know, and it seems inappropriate to say, oh, you can be happy, you can be happy. It's just so terrible. We're not giving an example right now, but this is what you're asking. What about really awful things that happen? And I just want to say, as a human being, I think that's a great mystery in life. Like everything seems so fine, so wonderful. You know, we have these good thoughts, we're all ready to go, and then something happens. We hear about it, or it happened, you know, maybe it happens to us.
Well, doesn't that destroy, though, your definition of the meaning of life? If there's a huge amount of mystery involved, then what is the meaning then? If there's no, I mean, if part of the answer to the question can't be solved, then, I mean, how much of that, I mean, to what degree is what you're saying? I mean, what you're saying is nice, but to what extent does that have any relevance if there's a lot of mystery involved?
Well, I think you're right. I think it does diminish what I'm saying. And you know, I'm sort of, you know, I'm being truthful in the sense that, you know, I feel sometimes staggered by what happens, and just there's nothing I can say. There's no way I can, you know, people say everything for a reason, everything for a purpose, but sometimes, may it not happen to you, you know, may it not happen to anyone ever again, but sometimes things happen that just make everything happens for a purpose seem silly.
Yeah.
And I'm acknowledging that. And if that's at the cost of my philosophy, you know, I'm sorry about that.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
mean to put you on the defensive or anything, but
Yeah, well,
I just mean, for instance, I was thinking about the other day as far as, you know, like biology and to what extent that has rule over our life, and determinism. And who's to argue against, I read an argument by Spinoza about determinism, and who's to say that our lives aren't totally mapped out, you know, ahead of time? I mean, what's to say that there's any meaning to life if every action, you know, if every action has an equal and opposite reaction and everything is based on Newtonian physics?
well, I mean, that's a good point. That's a very good question. And I'm thinking about something Schopenhauer said. He said that if you could take a stone and throw it, you know, we know if we have enough information, we can calculate its path, and you know, the arc, it'll pass through and exactly where it'll hit.
Yeah.
That's according to the laws of physics. But if we throw the stone and somehow give it consciousness, and then say to the stone, you know, hey, what's up with you? What's going on with you? The stone would say, I'm taking a walk of my own free will. You know, this is Schopenhauer's point, you know, suggesting that we're not as free as we think. Now, I know I'm contradicting myself here, and you know, I have to say, like, from a philosophical point of view, you know, you have to be open to the arguments and to the considerations. I would say that human freedom, I would put it this way, I wouldn't say, oh, we're free, we're free. Clearly, in my own behavior, it's often not free. And I look around, it seems to me the case with other people.
Yeah.
I would say freedom is an emergent property, if at all. In other words, we have the capacity to live in such a way that freedom is like getting in shape or learning how to dunk. You're not born that way. You have to cultivate the capacity. You have to cultivate the capacity to be free. Now, you know, I'm making an optimistic point. Other people would say, we can't be free, we can't be free. And, you know, the clever argument I would give against that, if somebody says we can't be free, is I would say, to recognize we can't be free is itself an expression of freedom.
But I wonder, though, if that's not just one of the, you know, reactions of determinism, that's just the natural sort of process that somebody goes through. I mean, you could start jumping around and saying, oh, well, I'm doing this of my own free will, but is that in itself an action of, you know, you're reacting to what someone else has said? I mean, basically, human beings, I mean, you look at something as simple as a rock or something as simple as an atom. Well, we're just made up of, you know, billions of atoms or whatever, and they're all interacting just like the planets are interacting and everything like that. I mean, what's to say when we have a certain sense of consciousness and a certain sense of independence, but what's to say all that is not just the end result of biological processes?
These are very strong points you're making. They're you know, I'm taking them seriously.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not dismissing them. I'm you know, like, you know, you might be totally right. And everything I'm saying might be, you know, the equivalent of a dog barking, you know, and we could read the barking, we could say that dog is saying da 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 and interpret it, but it may not have any meaning. You know, I just may be talking to try to make things seem a little more livable.
Yeah.
And But what I would say, I mean, and again, I think this is a mystery. So let's say I disagree with you. I don't disagree with you in the sense that I say you're wrong. That's, what you're saying is so strong and powerful. Maybe I think you're wrong, but I can't prove that you're wrong. But I would say this. The examples you're giving, were atoms and they obey the laws of Newtonian physics and this, that, and the other. It's a way of looking at the world that accepts what we might call the material universe and then says, well, our bodies, which are things that obey the laws of physics and biology, have consciousness in them. And what if the consciousness is an epiphenomenon? Okay, I would say our consciousness, our bodies are in our consciousness. In other words, it's not that the material world exists and then we have consciousness and we're aware of the material world. It's that consciousness exists, and one of the expressions of consciousness is what we experience as the material world. Now, if you say, prove it, I can't prove it. That's a fundamental way of looking at things. I can't prove it, any more than you can prove what you're saying.
Well, I'm not. The problem that I have, though, is like if you deal with somebody, say a Holocaust survivor or somebody like that. I mean, how do they live their lives? How do they say, do they just accept? I mean, my point that it was all determined ahead of time and there's no meaning to it basically whatsoever. It's just part of some bizarre scientific thing or whatever. Or do they accept what you're saying and say, well, somehow they should get something out of their lives. There is some meaning to their lives and stuff. I mean, how do somebody who's gone through an experience like that, or any experience like that at all, how do they deal with that?
Again, that's such a good point. I think that's the mystery of the ages, right there. So you can say, well, you're disproving me, and so be it, because I'm so respectful of that I'm staggered. I know Viktor Frankl, who actually was the psychologist/philosopher who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, who was in a concentration camp, says in that book that of the people in the concentration camp, it was really important to keep some sense of meaning, some sense of purpose, and that when people lost their sense of meaning, their lives ended.
Yeah.
And there was some almost animal basic level of positing meaning that wasn't logical, it wasn't rational, you couldn't prove it, but you just somehow cultivate a sense of meaning. You would, or not, and this is the heroism of life. I had a friend once who used this image. He said, it's almost as if, like, let's say we listened to one of Jimi Hendrix's recordings, and it's been recorded, it's over with. He went to the recording session, he made the recording. So now we have the recording, we can listen to the recording, but we can't really change it. It's given. That's the way life is. Our lives, this is the determinist point, our lives have already been spent. They've already been lived. And so our, let's say, souls come into these lives thinking they're making the choices, but cultivating the experiences. Now, this is a faith point. You could say, well, why would you choose to be in in an accident, or why would you choose, to lose the Super Bowl, or this, that, and the other? And there's every reason to choose those negative experiences in terms of the fullness of life. If you've ever played fantasy games or video games, sometimes people choose underdog positions, or, just for the fun of it, just for the experience, because you continue to exist beyond the adventure, the earth adventure. Now, that, you could say, I don't believe that. I think this is all there is, and that's just a bunch of hog rot. Fair enough. What do we do? And I think these are great points you're making, and great mysteries. I know Voltaire, the 18th century philosopher, made fun of the idea that this was the best of all possible worlds. And I'm remembering this, but I think it was in 1762, but it doesn't matter. There was a big earthquake in Portugal.
Yeah, the subject for Candide.
Candide.
Yeah.
And in this earthquake, it happened Sunday morning, and most of the people who were killed were people who had gone to church in the old medieval stone churches where the roofs fell in. You know, it was terrible. And the people who gotten drunk the night before and passed out on the beach, of course, were safe. So it just seemed to everyone to be unfair. Here's this earthquake. It hits, you know, Lisbon or wherever it was,
Yeah.
and it predominantly killed the faithful. You know, the people worshiping. And of course, Voltaire, you know, saw the evidence of that and thought, you know, this is ridiculous. It's a random universe. You know, there's, you know, it wasn't picking on anybody. There's no, it just, things happen by chance. You know, and this is sort of the voice, that you're giving voice to a similar idea.
Yeah.
Man, this is, you know, thanks for calling, and
Yeah,
thanks for bringing these things up. And, you know, this is something, you know, we talk and we philosophize, but, you know, when we go back home by ourselves, this is something we all have to face.
Yeah.
You know, and so I thank you for bringing up these considerations.
Yep. Thanks. See ya.
Thank you. So, wow, heavy thoughts there, very heavy thoughts. And, you know, let's say even, sobering thoughts. Let me play something here to sort of speaking of the 18th century. Let me play a Bach piece with the wah-wah pedal. All right. Okay, rolling along here. I was quoting that wise sign, the shimmering metaphysical sign, and it was telling me, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves by getting. Now, the last caller is talking about suffering we're not creating for ourselves, when people are being unjust and murderous and hateful, and you know, oftentimes that's not happening. I heard a teacher once, a Buddhist teacher, Jetsama Akon Lamo. She was an American woman, is recognized by the Tibetans as a reincarnated 16th century Tibetan saint. And she was talking about suffering. And she pointed this out. You know, as I was I was struck by what she said. She said, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, it's all in your mind, it's all in your mind. She said, put your hand flat on a table and give me like a, you know, like an 8-inch needle. Let me poke it in your hand, and I'll prove to you right away it's not in your mind. You will hurt. Okay. But, she said, very little of our suffering involves biological hurt. It's mostly all mental. It's all a result of how we think about what's happening. Okay. Now, the caller was bringing up an example of a situation where it doesn't seem right to just take a positive attitude about the Nazis when you're in a concentration camp. I mean, to say it's all a matter of how we think doesn't seem to fit that example, and I agree with that. But often, it does seem to fit the example. Hey, Bill, why are you so upset? You know, the Wizards lost again. You know, Bill, get a grip. You know, like here's Bill with the gift of life, and he's not in a concentration camp, and he's upset because his favorite team lost a game. See how that works? That's created by mental attitude. So anyway, the talking metaphysical sign was saying we humans create unnecessary suffering for ourselves by getting mired in feelings about success and failure. They say, you've been taught to strive in this life towards greater accomplishment or status or even sainthood. We recommend that if you strive for anything at all, strive for authenticity. Then they go on to say something about authenticity. I just found this so wise and helpful. Authenticity starts with individual moments and how you live them. Each time you consult your inner sense of truth and make choices that reflect that, you feel more alive. They recommend this, by the way. Consult your inner sense of truth and make choices that reflect that. Each time you honor your life force in its rhythms and patterns, you know, and that was another thing they talked about is, you know, we have rhythms, partially biologically based, of needing to rest, needing to move, needing excitement. Be in touch with them and honor them. Each time you honor your life force in its rhythms and patterns, you feel more alive. The more you live in the moment, the more your life means in ultimate terms. Now, I found that to be a really strong point. The more you live in the moment, the more meaning your life has in ultimate terms. Now, we're often told the opposite, to think about the ultimate and sort of detune from our life and from the moment. And they're saying the opposite. You know, I'm thinking of John Kabat-Zinn. He's written a number of books. His first book was called, he's a physician. His first book is called Full Catastrophe Living. And it was written for people who have chronic pain that cannot be medicated. So they hurt all the time, and there's nothing that medicine can do for them. And this book was written for people, such people, full catastrophe living. Then his next book, which is the same idea, but it's a more general book, is called Wherever You Go, There You Are. Now, in his life, he's a physician, and he has a pain clinic at, as I remember, a Boston University hospital. And the people who are referred to his clinic are people in chronic pain who cannot be medicated for whatever reason. So there's nothing they can do about their pain. And what he teaches them to do, there's no medicine they can take. There's nothing to do. So what he teaches them to do is, as weird as this sounds, is to make friends with their pain, to enter into it, to feel it more deeply. And the people report that when they actually experience their pain, it doesn't go away, but it somehow loses a lot of the quality of suffering. I don't know if you've ever had the experience in a dentist's office. Part of what makes the dental pain so horrible, because actually on an objective scale, there's very little pain at the dentist, is our climbing up against it, our tension, our attitude towards it. Whereas next time you go to the dentist, relax, be calm, breathe, enter into the experience, and you still feel the prick, You still feel the nerve jab, but it's a different quality of pain. This is the idea. This is what the metaphysical talking sign was saying, that our life, the painful moments in our life, are an opportunity not to escape, but to become more aware. The pain calls us into being, calls our attention. Often, if it's bodily pain, it's something we need to attend to that we're ignoring. So pain is the body's way of saying, hey, pay attention to me. You know, like notice what's happening. But even when the pain seems worse than that, there's not anything obvious to do about it. The thought here is to attend to it, not take a negative attitude towards it. And somehow, here we come against this mystery again of, oh, what a drag, what a terrible thing. But somehow, it makes sense, and that's a faith point. That's a faith point. You know, it can't be proven. Anyway, call if you have a thought. I've got some more thoughts here from the talking sign. I'm just going to roll on with these. These are wow. You know, I got a lot of meaning of it. They went on to say, many of your earth belief systems revolve around achievement and professional accomplishment. The idea is, this is what they were saying, if you do what you hate in the interest of achievement and accomplishment, and this isn't to say that people who achieve and accomplish are doing what they hate. You know, one of the exciting things about Pressbox, and when Ken brings on these athletes, is, you know, being here in the studio, these athletes who are accomplishing so much. You know, tonight, the DeLone basketball players, you know, in the state tournament, they love what they're doing. They're not playing basketball just to get a trophy. They love going to practice. And you can feel this energy from these people coming in, these different athletes. Some of the wrestlers, I forget his name, you know, the state champion wrestler. You know, they feel excited about what they're doing. Now, hooray! However, if you do something you don't feel excited about, that you're not happy about, you don't particularly want to do, you're just doing it for the accomplishment. So the sign says, the idea is that if you do what you hate, sacrificing now, the current moment, so that you'll be able to do what you want to do later. If you do this, well, they said, don't do that. Don't do that. Do what you love, and then you have passion for it. The Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the Gospels of Jesus, it didn't make it into the New Testament. Jesus says in the Gospel of Thomas, as a basic spiritual principle, don't do what you hate. Don't do it. Don't do it for a bribe. For future rewards. I'll do what I hate, and then I'll be able to. Anyway, this is the advice. Very heavy. I mean, your own life, your own choices. But the recommendation is, the advice is, don't do it. Each time, then they say, okay, what are we going to put on our resume? The sign says, what do you put on your resume? This is what the sign said. Each time you share a moment of deep, soulful connection with another human being, like the caller, like, some of the bozo calls, whatever. But this last caller who called with a real serious question, a real serious concern, is very serious about it, thinking about it. I think about it. I feel we had a nice connection there. I appreciated his thought, and, it deepened what I'm talking about here. Even though it seems to disagree with it, it deepens it. Each time, the talking sign said, you share a moment of deep, soulful connection with another human being, it should go on your resume as a great accomplishment. He and I accomplished something here. We connected, and we brought forth a truth about life. Oh, now, it's a truth that staggers our philosophy. But, philosophy is about life. Life is primary. And maybe life doesn't make philosophical sense. So anyway, this goes on our resume as a great accomplishment. Each time you listen inward, hearing your soul's desire, and find ways to enact that desire, you're truly achieving. This is where your life draws its greatest meaning. You know, they went on to say, they used this example of ships, you know, the huge aircraft carrier, you know, the ocean liner, and then the canoe and the kayak and the homemade raft. And they said, from the world's point of view, there's a big difference between, say, being a captain of an ocean liner, a great accomplishment, and like paddling a blow-up raft. And they said, but from the cosmic point of view, there's no difference. They're just experiences. To be captain of an ocean liner is an experience. To build your own raft, or to blow up a raft, or to, you know, bring your basketball in the water and float on it, is an experience. So from the point of view of incarnating in the earth plane, they're both experiences. One of them may be important for one soul's destiny. Another one may be valuable for another soul's destiny. But what we want to do is not seek the experience that the world ranks hierarchically as the best, but seek the experience our soul desires. And it may be paddling with a basketball. It may not be the ocean liner. On the other hand, it may be the ocean liner. It may be magnificent athletic accomplishment. And, you know, it never seemed to me that Michael Jordan didn't like basketball. And so anyway, the metaphysical sign says, we are suggesting as a goal. So, you know, the sign, I'd ask them, you know, what's the meaning of my life? And they were saying to me, and I think to all of us, we're suggesting as a goal that you strive to be focused in the present in your life, in the present. As you cultivate a deep appreciation of the infinity of experience that exists within each moment, the miracle within each moment, you'll find you no longer need to waste energy with self-doubt or the urge to control outcomes. You can flow with reality. Glory be. You will find that you have more to give the more you allow yourself to truly receive within your moment-by-moment experience. You know, I'm reminded of the story of in the Asian tradition. You know, two students had different gurus, different masters, and they were bragging that mine is powerful. Oh yeah, well mine's really powerful. And the first one, well mine's the most powerful. Well, the second one, mine's the most powerful. So the first one said, well mine is so powerful, I can stand on one side of the river, and my master can stand on the other side of the river and move his finger, and I'll hold a blank piece of paper up, and writing will magically appear on my piece of paper. That's power. And the second one said, no, that's a gimmick. You know, that's a magic trick. My master has true power. So the first one says, well, what can your master do? And he said, my master can eat when he's hungry and sleep when he's sleepy. Da-da-da-da, doo-doom. Now, eat when you're hungry and sleep when you're sleepy sounds kind of silly, but notice, we live patterned lives. We eat at dinner time. We sleep at bedtime. Sometimes we're not sleepy when it's time to go to bed, or we're not hungry when it's time to eat. Now you can say, well, but you know, we've got a society to run. You know, like it would be too chaotic if people just ate when they felt like eating and studied math when they felt like studying math. And if you want to have an ordered society, that point makes a lot of sense. There are planets out there, insect planets, that have highly ordered societies that live that way. But as human beings, do we have the capacity to flow, let's say, with deep divine energy, like God is everywhere, to flow with energy into appropriateness? It may not harmonize always with public order. We may not be hungry at dinner time. We may not be sleepy at bedtime. We may be sleepy earlier, or maybe sleepy later. Can we flow with our inner being and our reality? There's the question. So the talking sign was saying, you want meaning in your life? Flow with your being. Okay. They went on to say, give me a call. Tell me what you think about this. Your power is greatest in the present. If you're tired, sleep. If you're curious, explore. If you need to create, do so. If you need stimulation, stop and take some in. Work with energies as they come and go. Relinquish fixed rules of what you must get done. Stay open to spiritual guidance, inspiration, and felicitous accident, serendipitous coincidence. And then they said in practical terms, sort of to bring this down a little bit, something you can bring with you. Remember these two important life skills, and this is what they remember. Number one, take time to breathe. Often. Do it now. Do it now. Just take a moment to breathe, to center, to come into the body. Like, here I am. Come in. Here I am. This is the only place for me to be and for you to be. Do this frequently. Number one, take time to breathe. Number two, when you do have something you have to do, like the dishes have to be washed. Maybe you're not feeling like washing the dishes, but they have to be washed, let's say. Take a moment and center and connect with the energy that would lead you to wash the dishes. Now, for me, I would say, the feeling of the warm water is a very nice feeling. So when you wash the dishes, connect with the sensation of warm water on your hands. Connect with the sensation of accomplishment. Washing the dishes is one of the few things in life that we can accomplish well. You can wash the dishes well and have them clean and have a feeling of satisfaction. Connect with the energies of accomplishment or pleasure or something positive relative to the dishes you're going to wash rather than the negative. Why do I have to wash the dishes? This is unfair. And then you just generate a negative experience. So this is what they advised. Well, what do you think? This is a fun night. And the meaning of life, maybe there's no intellectual explanation of the meaning of life. Maybe there's just the experience of being alive moment by moment and remembering ourselves, becoming here, centered in our life. Here we are. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to play something that's centered.